In this video, I'm going to be sharing some of my storage solutions for both my finished artwork and for my art supplies. Hi, I'm Lisa, the artist behind Lachri Fine Art. This is the second video going up today. I've got part one of my studio tour, which is a 360-degree video, so you can kind of look around the room and really feel like you're in here with me. I will have a card pop up here so you can check that out. This video, I'm going to look a little bit closer at some of my storage solutions for both my finished artwork and my art supplies. Let's go ahead and take a look. This is just a dresser that I use for storing most of my art supplies. It just keeps everything so nicely organized. The top drawer, it's pretty small, so I just fit some of the smaller stuff up here, mostly graphite pencil stuff. So I've got these pencil holders. This one holds all of my Caran d'Ache Graphwood pencils. I still really wish that all graphite companies would color code their pencils like those ones are. Next to that, I have a pencil, just a regular pencil bag that I use for all of my blending tools. I've got a couple of erasers in there. I think my mechanical pencils in there as well. Next to that are all of my AN4B lead. I have a lifetime supply because when I realized I wasn't going to be able to get it anymore, I bought everything I could find on eBay. Moving over, I've got a bunch of ink stored behind all of this that I don't really need easy access to, so I just shoved it behind the tray. This white tray is a kitchen drawer organizer, and these are so perfect for organizing your art supplies. This holds most of my powder blender, titanium or touch-up texture, titanium white, all the stuff. As you can see, I hoard because I'm so worried about running out. It's like a must-have item in my studio, so I get a bunch of it. I've got some extra paintbrushes, sharpeners, all the little stuff are up here in this drawer and stored within this little drawer organizer. And you can get those at stores like discount stores like Ross for so inexpensive. My next drawer down holds, the majority of these are going to be my water soluble pencils. So here are the brushes that I use for those. This is a small brush holder. You can get these at Dick Blick. I'll put a link in the video description for those. Normally I recommend getting the larger size, but for this with the water soluble pencils, I use very small brushes, so that one works. I've got my set of Derwent graphic pencils down here. Underneath that, don't judge me, I have a set of Prismacolor art sticks. I bought these last year and I haven't used them yet. I figured being that they don't have wood casings, so I don't have to worry about that splitting or that quality control. Funny thing is, they're all so warped. They're supposed to be little straight sticks, and they look more like little boats to me, the way they're rounded, which is kind of funny. It doesn't really matter. They should work fine, so I'll have to test those out sometime in the near future. I keep forgetting that I have them. Next, I have these little trays. These I also got at a discount store. I got these ones from Ross, I believe. I have a gray one and an orange one in here, and this is just going to store everything so that they don't end up all over the place. This drawer used to be an absolute mess of everything tossed in. I could never find anything. So now I've got all of my pencils stored in a very easy way to get to and to find. So much better than they used to be. I used to have them kind of stacked up flat, and you can imagine what a mess that ended up being. But now that they're all setting up within these little trays, I have such an easier time finding what I want to use. So a lot of these that I wasn't using because I forget that I have them, they were just hidden under everything else. You'll probably see me drawing more with those. The next drawer down, these are my oil paints. So here I have some baskets, and these are very inexpensive baskets that you can get anywhere for just $1 or $2. And they store my oil paints. You can also use shoe boxes for organizing things. The shoe boxes I had in here for so long, they were starting to fall apart, so I decided to get these plastic baskets. One of these sides holds all of the oranges, yellows, and reds. The other side here holds my browns, blues, greens, and purples. So it's very easy for me to find the color I want. They used to all be in one shoebox. Oh my gosh, it was almost impossible to find any specific color that I wanted. Moving over, this is actually in a shoebox here where I've got my liquid, some of my paint thinner, brush cleaners, and then just a few little excess stuff. But shoeboxes are so great for organizing your drawers if it's not stuff like the oil paint that was just trashing the boxes because they weigh too much. So the next drawer down, this is going to be my airbrushing supplies, and I use the same type of baskets. I wish I had gotten more. They are so handy and so inexpensive. So I've got them separated by the Holbeins, which are on the right, and then the basket on the left, those are all of my Createx airbrush paints and just a few little extra things that I need. The bottom drawer holds all of my Liquitex basics and my Liquitex heavy body, and those are just stored. I cut down Amazon boxes. If you're like me and order a lot from Amazon, you end up with a lot of those. So I cut them down to specific sizes that I would need to separate my paints there. So it's, again, very easy for me to find what I'm looking for. Next, we have my 3-drawer pastel boxes, and this is where I store my colored pencil and my Winsor & Newton pigment markers. Above that, I have another of those trays like you saw in the dresser. This holds all of the little bits that just kind of sat around. I need them for colored pencil, but I don't have specific drawers for them. My paint thinner and extra sharpeners that I need access to while I'm working. That keeping everything organized in that has made it so much easier to find what I'm looking for. In general, I would say if you can put stuff, whether it be in a drawer or like this, put things in boxes and baskets, it just makes it so much easier for me to work because I'm not spending a bunch of the time trying to find everything. The first of these boxes holds my polychromos, the next luminance, the next down are my Prismacolor, and then the last two hold my Winsor & Newton pigment markers. And these store them so well. You can get them from Amazon. I got mine from Jerry's Artorama. Dick Blick carries them. But you just want to look up 3-drawer pastel box. Onto the drawers in my Workbench. It's the same thing. I'm using boxes. This is a really weird size, so I had to cut a box down to fit. This holds all of the soft tool tips. I bought a ton of them so I would never run out, and that's basically what is normally used for jewelry organizing, and it's so perfect for these. This is, next box back, this holds all of my stuff for sculpting, all of the stuff. It's actually most of the stuff that I got from Smart Art Box. And I really liked those tools, so I stored them there. I kept all of that. And moving on, my next drawer over. This is kind of a junk drawer, but it's stuff I need access to all the time while I'm painting and drawing. Pliers to open oil paint tubes, X-Acto knives, that sort of thing. Next down, under this desk, I have all of my stuff that I typically use for live streaming. I love these Amazon Basics backpacks. They've come, both cameras I've bought from Amazon came with these, or the DSLRs, and I don't necessarily use them for that, but they work great for storing all of my little stuff. So in here, I've got my 2 webcams for the live stream. That blue thing is what holds the webcam that aims or sits on top of my big camera. I've got my projector that fits in that box, extra bags, all of the little things, little stuff that is used for videos. That's for my GoPro. If next time I go kayaking, I want to take that. I'll share that with you guys. But that's a floating handle, so if I drop it in the water, it's not going to sink. But everything's stored really nicely in that backpack. And underneath this desk, 1 row down, is where I store my bigger mat cutter. Moving around the room, if I don't make you sick with my really fancy video editing here, here is the monitor that I use for my reference photos, and then this shelf, this comes from IKEA, and it stores the majority of the other art supplies minus paper and canvas. So on top here, this little basket that holds all of my wet acrylic brushes while they're drying, that way I can leave them flat to dry. There's one below it that holds all of my oil paint. That laptop there, or the teal flat thing you're seeing, that is my laptop that I use for live streaming. There's where all of my wet oil painting brushes go. Mostly it's holding palette knives right now. And below that are my paint brushes. These paintbrush holders, they run about $30 and so worth it. You can get them from dickblick.com. It's the only place I've found these specific ones with so many spots for your brushes. This one I just got, so I hardly have anything in it yet. But the brushes just slide into all these little things. It keeps them organized and safe. I used to store my brushes in a box, and they were just getting trashed when I would travel with them, bringing them to my classes I was teaching. They would the ends of them were getting so damaged so quickly. This has protected them very well. A lot of these brushes are probably 20 years old. So these are wonderful, and you just tie them and there you go. You've got your brushes. They don't slide out. So if you're taking art classes, you can take these with you without losing your brushes or damaging them. This one, as you can see, is very old. It's my oil painting holder. It's very dirty, holds a lot of brushes. When you get these, I do recommend get the larger size because you will fill it much faster than you think. Those smaller ones, like you saw with my water soluble brushes, you fill those way too fast. Onto my desk where I spend the majority of my time. Here's another area I like things organized. I got this little tray at, I think, Hobby Lobby for $1 or $2, and it holds all of my SD cards. These used to be just spread all over my desk. They were everywhere. It was a mess. So now they have their nice little spot. It makes it much easier to keep this organized. To decorate behind my desk, and I did this above all of the shelves, all these are, it's a wood or a piece of cardboard that I covered in fabric, and I actually airbrushed the white damask print over it. used hot glue to glue them into place, and I just cut the board out to make sure that they were the exact size for that area, and they just stick back there. So it was a really easy way to decorate. You can see it just stays. I don't have to use tape or glue or anything. It just stays back there all on its own. And that let me decorate my desk without having to actually paint, which was pretty nice. You can see how it's behind, I have that pattern behind my entire desk and all my little decorative stuff hanging above there. There is the mic that I use for recording my voiceovers. So over here, I have more of those same IKEA shelves, just in different sizes. And this is where I store all my pads of paper. I've got canvases that are either finished or haven't been used yet. My paintings, when I'm finished with them and they're completely dry, I store them in what are essentially handmade pillowcases that I made out of felt, and it keeps the paintings from being scratched when I stack them up. I just cut them to the size I need for each painting and then sew the inside straight through. It's not a pretty sewing job, but it keeps them really well protected. I keep them in this when I have to take them somewhere. If I'm displaying my work, I will always have them travel in these cases, because when you stack up a bunch of paintings, you'll quickly find how badly they tend to get scratched, and that is just so heartbreaking when you damage a painting like that you can't really sell because you damaged it. So I've learned over the years this is a much safer way to go. I used to wrap things in blankets, and that was not so convenient. This has worked out really well for me. I store my colored pencil work in a different way. If it is something that I've blended with odorless mineral spirits and it's not too large, I will store it in this art portfolio. This is acid free. It's going to be completely safe stored inside of this. And this one will pretty much hold anything that's up to a 16 by 20 inch. And you can get these at pretty much any art supply store. I'm sure Amazon has them as well. Just make sure it's something that's pH neutral or acid free, archival, that is going to protect your artwork. Now, for storing anything like charcoal or powder blender is not flexible, so it needs to be stored flat. And these Eternity boxes seem to be a good choice. This one was 12 by 16. It ran, I believe, about $22, $23. These are all archival. They're lined, just clamshell boxes. This one came from Jerry's Artorama. So this one was done in, what is this, carbon pencil? Because it's still, even with the sealer on it, you can still rub or smudge it. So I put it in here to keep it safe. And then underneath that, I have one of my smaller powder blender pieces, and I've got glassine in between it to protect it so that the pencil doesn't smudge off onto the other pieces around it. So you can see how it just opens and closes there. They're okay. They're nice boxes, but this big one especially, this one ran $40. That's a lot of money for a box. And it is all lined in cloth, but the inside of it was coming apart a bit. I had to take some black, I used more of the black acid-free tape and taped it back together, but it was kind of peeling up. It's too large to bother sending back, but I was not terribly impressed with the quality on some of this. And I could see areas that I think will end up peeling along the edges more, but it does store my artwork very nice. It looks very nice. So here again, I've got glassine. These are 2 sheets of 16 by 20 that I bought to cover everything up with. The problem with those, and I don't think I'll buy them in the pack, this is what they came in. Look at how wrinkled each of these sheets are because they're folded up. I think in the future, I'm just going to buy the bigger rolls and cut it to what size I need. I don't know why, the creases in the paper, it doesn't really damage anything, but I don't like it. There's the roll. This is what I use to cover or my work as I'm working, to protect it from my hand smudging things. So yeah, that is what is on there. 2 sheets per each image. And I finally got good photos of this. I'll have to make prints of that one soon. I've never had prints available of it. But all of my larger work is stored here. And even though these are regular colored pencil, I don't have a portfolio big enough to really store them. So this seemed like the safest place to store them. And again, just the glassine in between so nothing smudges onto any of the other work. And then I took a piece of mat board. So again, it's something that's acid free, and cut it to the exact size of this board or the box. And I can lift that up to separate things. So it's kind of like a divider for within that box. So I can lift everything up, and underneath I have all of my powder blender stuff, again covered with the glassine to keep everything nice and protected. Now these are already on mounted boards, so there would be no way for them to bend anyway. But even if they weren't, even if I had them on individual papers, I wouldn't want to put it in a portfolio just because those pages bend. And again, like I said, the powder blender is not flexible. You want to keep it flat. So this is going to be the best way that I found to store these. If you've got large drawers that are used for artwork, those will work too. I don't have room to put something like that. So this box is really nice, and it just sets on top of my shelf. I stack the two on top of each other, and it's thick enough that it's going to hold quite a few pieces of art before I need to get another. So I kind of go back and forth on $40 is a lot for a box that has areas that are kind of peeling up. But once I fix that, I feel like this is protecting my artwork better than any other way that I've stored these larger pieces. These larger pieces were just kind of in a folder leaning against something else. They weren't safe. So now this is a much, much better way for me to go. They, again, a little bit on the pricey side, but I'm leaning towards that they're worth it. I think that if I fill this one up, I probably will buy the same box and just plan on taping it back together like I did this one. And this is all lined in cloth, so it's fairly pretty to look at. Again, make sure to head over and check out the 360-degree video where you can look around the entire room and feel like you're in here with me. And if you have not already, there is a subscribe button you can hit right there to help you to keep up to date with all 5 of my new art videos every single week.